Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Dome and Home special coverage. Oh, look at that. We've got the wrong little loop in there. We'll get that out here. Let's get right to the good stuff. We are coming up to the trans-lunar injection burn, which is the engine burn that will take us from being in Earth orbit to going around the moon. And so that will give us, basically, it will mean that we are for sure going all the way out to the moon, all the way around, and then splashing down on April the 10th. So this is pretty important. Everything is go. Everything is working. They're ready. They're just now waiting for the right moment to fire up the engines. The engines will fire for a little bit less than 6 minutes, so not a super long burn, but as you might imagine, everything has to go nice and perfectly for that to happen. The crew's all strapped in, ready to go, which is standard for when the engines are burning and things like that. Now, I'm going to see if I can get you some audio from our... Here we go. The mission control room's been pretty quiet. The NASA commentator keeps coming on occasionally just to remind us that, in fact, yeah, audio's still working, because they're only a few minutes away, I think about 6 or 7 minutes away from the burn right now. So this is what turns us from just another orbital mission into a lunar mission.
1 hour and 10 minutes
Nope.
since the launch of the Artemis II mission from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And we've just marked 5 minutes until the time of ignition for the trans-lunar injection burn, which will send us to the moon. Our crew, Commander Reed Wiseman, Pilot Victor Glover, Mission Specialist Christina Cook, Commander Mission Specialist Jeremy Hansen, are all aboard the spacecraft, which is properly configured for the burn. This commits us to leaving Earth orbit and moving beyond the moon. It also is our deorbit burn and commits us to coming home, splashing down in the Pacific Ocean on flight day 10. The spacecraft is in the proper attitude, the proper configuration, with its solar array wings swept up toward the spacecraft, allowing the orbital maneuvering system engine, which will conduct the burn, to prevent it from imparting any loads on those solar array wings. This will be a 5-minute and 49-second burn, at which point Orion will be just 115 miles above Earth.
So hopefully you heard that audio, and I think I've got it not doubling here. Do let me know if you heard it. But the Artemis spacecraft is so big, and getting it to the moon is difficult. So they put it into Earth orbit first, and that gave us the opportunity to check out all the systems, make everything work. As you probably heard, the toilet failed the first hour of spaceflight, although they've got that fixed, and there were a number of other things that were going on. Hi there, Sherry, nice to see you. And so they were working out, it's a brand new spacecraft. And so there were a bunch of caution and warning alarms that kept going off that were just things that were set too low in the tolerances and stuff like that. So they were overcautious. There were a number of things that they just sort of had to work out, getting the cabin set up for having 4 people sleeping in it as opposed to just sitting in it, and so on. So all that's been going on, and now we're at the point where everything is working, life support is functioning properly, we are able to go for the moon. And so the engine burn will be coming up in just a little bit here. I'm going to bring up NASA control here just for the commentary that they have, and we'll be getting into some actual chatter with the crew. Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen was on comm earlier, answering on behalf of the mission. So it's nice to hear his voice. And it looks like we might have Jenny, his backup, down in the Capcom position. That looks like her. I'm gonna have to check to see. Her hair's different than her official portrait, where it's sort of pulled back, because we've got sort of a side profile here. But I think that might be Jenny Gibbons. All right, we're going to bring up NASA's mission control here just to listen in. And the reason I went live, not because this is particularly worrisome or exciting or anything like that, but it's crucial. This is the go to the moon or not go to the moon situation. Oh, we've got some live out the window views here. They've been doing a lot of this. The 24/7 coverage on NASA has been pretty good in terms of visuals, not always very good in terms of commentary or talking about what's going on. But this is definitely more than we expected. So it's nice to be able to sort of see out the window with the crew.
Orion just 130 miles above planet Earth. As we mark 1 minute until the time of ignition of the trans-lunar injection burn. Correction to an earlier report, that will be a 5-minute and 50 burn on the Orbital Maneuvering Services engine.
Okay, so a little update on the time there of the duration of the burn. Not surprising, they had planned to launch 10 minutes earlier than they did, and that 10 minutes actually threw a lot of things off in terms of just a few changes here and there. The burn's a little earlier than it was planned to be on the original plan, but they adapt for all of this and do all the calculations on the fly, and they're ready to go. When the engine starts burning, I imagine we'll start to see that Earth move a little faster. Now, they did have a visualization that you can see online. It sort of shows you the angle of where the spacecraft is. But it doesn't seem to be functioning right now. They're probably using all the available bandwidth to actually do the mission rather than show us pretty pictures. Oh. That looked like the start of the burn.
Integrity, good engine, good control.
We show the same. Feels great up here.
Yeah, and that's Jeremy on comm.
Elapsed time of 1 day, 1 hour, and 14 minutes into the Artemis II mission. As Orion was flying 115 statute miles above Earth and 247,600 miles away from the moon, we have the start of the trans-lunar injection burn that will send the crew around the moon, the first humans to do so in over 50 years.
Hey, James. Yeah, TLI burn is underway, and we are going to the moon. Well, and looks like the live is coming back in.
50 burn on the Orbital Maneuvering Service engine, part of the European Service Module.
So as the spacecraft
Continuing to hear good calls here from Prop in Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas.
Integrity, looking good.
Integrity copies.
I keep dropping out when they start saying things, obviously, because we want to hear what they have to say. But as the spacecraft engine burn, you can actually see on the live that's back now, we are moving a little bit faster, and the speed will build up significantly over the course of the burn.
Velocity of the spacecraft ticking up, now over 23,900 miles per hour.
I should just let them say their piece, because it sounds like they've got it well under control. There is quite a bit of oscillation in the spacecraft, sort of flopping around a little bit
burn.
As the engine burns, just because that'll make everything vibrate a little bit. So it's expected that the video cuts in and out like this.
Copy the enabled caution, no crew action.
Do we know where over Earth's surface they are for the burn? Yeah, they're actually over the southern
The crew did receive
United States area, kind of in the same kind of area that they launched from, essentially. So unfortunately, we can't see it from here. First of all, because here in Treaty 1 territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, it is cloudy. But there are some opportunities for people to see the burn happening. However, the spacecraft it's very difficult to get a good prediction for, because that information just wasn't coming out. So I think it'll be a little luck if anybody actually sees it. Hi, Jennifer. Nice to see you as well. Thanks for checking in. We are in the middle of the trans-lunar ejection burn, and that will get us on the way to the moon. I'll bring up mission control again, and we'll listen in.
These live views coming from Orion as it looks back on Earth, leaving high Earth orbit and beginning its journey to the moon. We are now 230 miles above Earth, 246,500 miles away from the moon.
So after this burn, we'll be on course for what's called the free return trajectory. That will take us looping around the moon without any further engine burns. Gravity does all the work. We basically will fly away from the Earth. The moon will curve the trajectory and curve it back towards the Earth, and we'll come flying back towards our re-entry corridor. They'll probably adjust it a little bit as they come in, but basically Isaac Newton does all the work in getting the spacecraft all the way out to the moon and back at this point. And what'll be the one downside is that it's a 4-day trip out to the moon from here. So after this burn, there's a bunch of time where the astronauts, I mean, they have tasks. They're checking out the spacecraft. They're, doing photography out the window. We're going to get to see the Earth, as a small crescent, and eventually disappear in the rearview mirror kind of thing. But there won't be like the big countdown type moments until we come up to basically Monday night. Monday night Central Time is when they loop around the moon, and it is about a 3-hour whip around. And so Monday, after 4 or 5 o'clock, they'll start to get decent views. And then they have about a 3-hour period where they go around the moon. They'll be on the far side. They'll get to see some of the far side of the moon. And then we will have all those close-up pictures. And what I'm really looking forward to is the Earthrise scene, the scene where they come around the moon and the planet Earth rises above the moon, much like we see the moon rising above the Earth. Now, the Earth appears about 5 or 6 times bigger in the sky than the moon does. No, wait, three or 4 times bigger. Sorry, I did my math wrong there. And so it'll be a pretty striking sight, I think. The 1968 Earthrise picture basically kickstarted the environmental movement and just blew everyone away with the idea that, oh my gosh, there's our planet. Look how thin the atmosphere is. Look how fragile it is in the vastness of space. And it's an emotional impact on everybody that sees it from all accounts. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. We are, hey, John. John, nice to see you. Congratulations and happy birthday. 37 years old. Not bad, not bad. Halfway to 74. That's a good sign. Congratulations. And for your birthday, I got you a moon mission. I hope you enjoy it.
The Artemis II crew aboard Orion. We have trans-lunar injection burn cutoff and early reports that it was a very good burn.
Okay, we just heard there from Mission Control that the burn has ended, and it's a good burn, which basically means it gave the additional change in speed that was needed.
520 miles away from Earth. Just 5 minutes ago, we were only 115 miles above Earth's surface. That distance will continue to increase as we are now on a trajectory to fly around the moon for the first time in over 50 years.
It feels a little anticlimactic in some ways because all we really saw was, hey, it's going. Yep, we see that too. And then 5 or 6 minutes later, okay, good burn. They're so calm about it, but they just took the transition from being close to the planet where every other human in the world is and going off to another world. I bet on the spacecraft with the microphone turned off, they're hooting and hollering and getting pretty excited. Yeah, it is. So, hey, Sean, it's nice to see you. It is so weird to hear everything in miles. One of the things that we toyed with was doing sort of simultaneous translation, except just converting miles to kilometers and things like that. But yeah, NASA still, even though they actually do a lot of their work in kilometers, when they publicize it, they convert everything to miles because, you know, the metric system is just so much easier to do science stuff in. Although conversion can give you some problems occasionally. But yeah, all right. There's the sun zooming through the view there. We're just seeing the Earth as a crescent, and so they are coming around. That the view there is actually kind of upside down to what we would maybe think about. The south pole of the Earth would actually be at the top there, I think, and so they're coming around onto the dark side of the Earth, where let's see, they'd be probably heading around off the coast of San Diego, I think, or maybe over the continental United States. Unfortunately, the NASA simulator that they use to track all of this stuff is not... oh, wait, it looks like it's come back. Let me... Yes, they have turned it back on, and so can we... Let me see if I can see where we are. Won't let me zoom out enough to actually... Yeah, unfortunately their little simulator is not providing me with all that much useful information. Oh, I can see Florida. And so they're past Florida and they're out over the Caribbean and Cuba kind of area and up into the Atlantic right now. So folks on the eastern seaboard probably had a chance to see the burn and the ability to maybe see it moving as a satellite, because it was pretty low. It was lower than the space station when it did that burn. Rapidly, it will go very far away though. And by tomorrow, when it actually will come up above the horizon in Canada, it will be so faint that I'm not even sure that the 20-inch telescope in Chile that I've got booked to try and take pictures of it will catch it. A very small, faint, fast-moving object is a difficult target for any kind of telescope. But using the iTelescope subscription service, I've got about an hour booked on trying to get images of the spacecraft on the way to the moon. If that works out, I'll let you know. But as of this point, we are now just waiting for those pictures to come in. Stay tuned. I'll be posting pictures to the Scott the Skywatcher page fairly often. I may not go live until we're getting close to the moon. Just because there's not a whole bunch of sort of fast-paced stuff happening, but you can always ask questions or whatever on the page here. I'm happy to chat, and we'll be looking forward to a splashdown on Friday the 10th of April, which I think will be a great time. Thanks for joining us here on I'm Scott the Skywatcher, and we will see you again soon.